Hello and welcome back to another deck profile from UKVersus. Today we're going to be going over one of my favourite characters and a character I've had a lot of experience with. We're going to be looking at Dabi 1 on Chaos. This is a little deck I put together for webcam locals and it did really well. I got quite lucky that a couple of people I was playing against did not know a lot of the cards I was playing and I managed to walk away with a win for it. But I thought I've been messing up with Dabi 1 pretty much all year behind the scenes, but I don't think he's in a competitive position at the minute. But I would absolutely love to get back into playing Dabi 1 because it's why I made my name. So, going straight into the attacks. Of course, we have to run the best attack Dabi 1 can run, which is Twisting Azure Inferno. So, Dabi has 3 enhances on face. He has first enhance, your next attack gets +3. He has first enhance, this attack gets +1 speed, +1 damage. And he has his once per game, remove 10 foundations from your discard. This attack gets +8 damage and throw. Your rival may destroy all of their ready foundations to negate this. So, Twisting Azure Inferno is a 4 cost free check for mid 4. Charge ranged with the enhance. If this attack's damage is 7 or greater, for the rest of the turn, your checks get +1 and your rival's checks to block get -1. Response after you play an action, this attack is +2 damage. So you can play any attack first. You use Dabi's first enhance to give the next one +3, and this one immediately then comes in with +3 damage on your next attack. Immediately meaning that you can sacrifice Dabi's first enhance if your opponent does have damage reduction to just go, +1 to all my checks, -1 to all your blocks for the remainder of the turn. Or you can set up a longer string, but the idea is this deck allows you to string longer and not have to commit anywhere near the amount of foundations that you would normally have to. That's why you would usually also have my personal favourite attack in this deck, Double Jab Pummel. Double Jab Pummel is a 4 cost free check 3/5, and it has Charge Punch Combo Charge. Combo Enhance. If this attack is blocked, you will draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. And it also has your next check gets +2. So regardless of the block or not, you get +2 to your next check. So again, you're not having to use as many resources to string out your attack. It has a beautiful deadlock enhance of your next check gets +5. And I think +5 to your next check is just great enough that your opponents will probably never go into deadlock once they see this card come down, or will absolutely regret doing it if it does. Going into this is next will be a spiritual successor to Double Jab Pummel for me, which is Spiral Wave Surge. So Spiral Wave Surge is one of 2 cards that took the Double Jab ability and sort of split it. But this to me is so good. When I'm playing Dabi, this can be one of my opening attacks, or it's one I play later on, because it requires answers. So, it's a Charge Fury, 4 cost, 3 check, 4 mid 4. Lots of mids in this deck. I do worry about Eraserhead a little bit. But it's a lose 1 life. This attack gets +2 damage, so it's a 4/6. That's when you start getting on the cusp of maybe I need to block this. And if this attack is blocked, your next check to play a card gets +1 for each attack that was blocked this turn. So if you block this, my next attack gets +1. So I can go Spiral Wave Surge for 6 damage. It gets blocked. I can then play Twisting Azure Inferno with +1 to my check. I can then use its ability. I can then play Double Jab Pummel with +1 to my check, which means although it should be a 6, it's coming in. With +1 to check means that if I check a 5, I check a 6, and then my next one gets +2. yeah, these three work so well in sequence. They work so well together, and they're all charges. So it doesn't matter how I do. I can go spiral into double jab, or I can go spiral double jab spiral. I can go as long as Azor can't go first, and neither can double jab. So spiral with surge always has to lead the charge, unless of course I've got one of the other attacks, which is Freezer Burn. Freezer Burn is an absolutely sensational attack. I absolutely love it, and I'm so glad that I run it in this. I run it as a 4 because it is a 4 cost free check attack. 4 low for 4 with a enhanced discard top 3 cards of your deck. Your rival readies one of your foundations. So you play it first, and even if you check pull, you get it back. Or if you can play it late and ready up something that you need for future resources. And response, destroy one foundation. After your rival plays a non-character ability during this attack, cancel it. Now that, to me, is so good. Because this is the primary target for your once per game. If your opponent tries to Wall Cling, to Red Guard, to Faith Shield, it doesn't work. You need character abilities that can stop damage, reduce damage. So Amajiki is an issue. All for One can be an issue. But majority of times, this attack gets through at the cost of 1 foundation minimum. But you are getting through anywhere between 6 and 8 damage. Sometimes maybe more. But that's the kind of where you're at with that. And it gets there. Following on from that, we have our defensive attacks, which are Cheerful Uppercut. It's a combo breaker because we had a face down, apart from one card now that has combo face down. It is a 5/4. It's a charge punch, so it's great for my first attacks to set up these guys. And it's a momentum out. Discard momentum, this attack gets +4 damage. So I can start it off as a 5/8, or I can play it later on down the line as a 5/11, which seems really good. And then we've got our kill attacks. As is standard in a Chaos build, we have 3 indiscriminate shocks. Indiscriminate just kills. And because of how little resources I need to use to string out my attacks, it majority of the time passes. It's going to be big. It's not going to be too fast. That is something, unfortunately, I need to work on, is getting this speed to the point where it can't be stopped. But because of how Dabi's ability works and how much you're blocking, because this is 7 damage, this is 8 damage, this is 9 damage, this is 7 damage. After the first attack, everything gets big. You're going to be blocking. My checks are going to be cheaper. So then you come in with the Nedre wave. Again, it's a mid 4. Response on play, discard 1 momentum. Your rival commits 3 foundations. Now that is huge later on in the game. If you can string this out, you can get everything blocked. You can then just sit there and go, yeah, cool, block. And they're using up resources. They've got a little bit left. You drop Nedre wave. You get rid of the momentum, and you go, yeah, you're now a lot harder to block. And then it gets +2 damage for every attack that has been blocked this turn. So if you have played 3 attacks, it gets +6 damage. It's already probably coming in with +3, making it a 7. So that'll be 13. You can then, if you can keep stringing, keep getting that damage, keep getting these attacks blocked, it becomes a lot harder to deal with, and it can get into the point of one-shotting. Now, I know what few people think it is. Nedre requires momentum. Cheerful Uppercut requires momentum to become lethal attacks. And I have thought about ways of doing that. Cremation was a big one, but Cremation requires me to keep momentum there. And with decks like the One Punch deck, with decks that now Capture the Doers floating around with Insatiable Appetite, I don't want momentum hanging around for too long unless I'm going to be using it quickly, which is why I've chucked in 2 manifests. It's a great defensive ability for letting me to draw 2 on the block, It's a great block modifier. It's a free check, so even later on down the line, and it lets me put one card into momentum, and then also gain 2. Which means if I come across my own cheerful uppercut, if someone tries to breaker block me, I can play double jab. I can then play manifest. I can remove it, get my combo back online, and I can also replace the card in my hand. It's a very good little situational piece, but it gets there, and I think it's a great card to have in here. Although Cremation would offer more speed, and Cremation would probably end up in the side, this attack lineup just slaps, and it can do some serious damage after being blocked and just wasting opponent resources. It is a primarily mid lineup, so I probably need to try it more. It's not the most ambitious or inspired Dabi build I've ever done, but for a fun locals deck, it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I don't have enough Stormer Blades, or else I would have been running the Stormer Blades Dabi, because that looks like a lot of fun. Moving into foundations, so because I have so much damage on face, I need to be defensive on my foundations. So, we start off with 3 releases. Release, very powerful foundation, can keep me alive, can do a lot of work. Then we have 3 requesting assistants. Requesting assistants, once I get the momentum, I can ready up foundations, I can keep my strings going. It allows me to do a lot more impactful plays. Basic training. Basic training isn't in here because although I don't need damage, changing damage to an odd number can mean I get little bits of extra peaks of damage in, which is absolutely great. And possibly one of the most important parts, speed buff. Speed buff is huge. Dabi does not have a lot of speed, so being able to use it easily to make attacks harder to deal with is very strong. Then moving into 1-cost foundations, we've got Struggling with Studies. Allows me to pick up my blocks, allows me to utilize my 6 hand quite well. So if I've only got 2 cards in hand, I can keep picking these guys up. I can keep doing some work. Then we've got Chivalrous Competitor. Destruction Prevention, which isn't as big a deal as it used to be, but can still do quite a lot of work. Unrivaled Combatant is an interesting one in here because it only really works with punches or slams, and the only one I'm really running is Cheerful Uppercut and Double Jab Pummel, but being able to change Double Jab Pummel to an off zone or change Cheerful Uppercut to a high or a mid can force resources that my opponent was not expecting to have to use, and it gets additional speed, which makes it harder to deal with. Because although Double Jab Pummel was great to be blocked, if I've already got kill in hand, I don't care about that. Moving on to some 1 of 2 cost foundations, we've got Levitate, which allows me to draw and discard one on play a block, and discard momentum, discard cards from the top of my deck until I discard a foundation. Great way to set up my next turn. A 1 of Broken Psyche, because Broken Psyche is very strong defensively. Not really much use for the 6 check part, but I can make someone's damage 2, keep myself alive. And again, Confused, great throw hate, great way to deal with cards in the discard that could be floating around. Then we've got a 2 of Nice Try. I had to cut that just because of low blocks. I could probably cut 1 Chivalrous and make it into a Nice Try, but I have a lot of speed hate, especially through Graceful Maneuvers. Graceful Maneuvers does the exact same thing as Nice Try, but it gets more speed it gets more speed reduction the higher progressive goes. And with Cheerful Uppercut and Requesting, you can do some very silly things and make attacks very slow late into a string. Then we move on to Decoy Duplicate. Absolutely solid card. Dabi's face, so kind of had to go in here, but absolutely solid card. Does a lot of work, and just basically says, nope, that attack disappears. Have fun with it. And then my own personal tech piece choice is Petty Squabble. Dabi does nothing on defense. Dabi sort of just sits there and goes, yeah, cool, if you can kill me, you can kill me. But I also want to be stringing, and I don't have much solid card draw. So if I can play 5 cards, keep 1 in hand, block with it, or discard it to Petty Squabble to commit something that's being used, commit Dabi and draw 2 cards, I am sitting pretty, and I'm probably going to be a little bit more defensive that turn. I don't want to be easy to kill, but I don't want to detract from my own offensive power. And then last one is a weird choice. I don't think anyone really uses as much as I do. Is Infinite Potential. It is such a good 1 high block, and be able to change something to a high. Not great in the Mirio setup, but being able to change the zone is something you can handle. Has come into hand, has a lot more into handy than has come in a lot more handy than a lot of people put into there. So the full deck, the Nedry waves do pull their weight. It's one of the reasons why I decided to build Dabi again. Omni blocks are an issue, but they're only an issue if you don't find the freezer burns. I had a lot of fun with this. I managed to take on an overhaul, which was a lot of fun. I've taken on a few other people with this during locals, and I have a lot of fun playing Dabi. People seem to have a lot of fun playing against Dabi, and with more sets coming soon and more Dabis to come, I'm really excited to see what comes of it, because I am hyped to start playing this again, and I'd really love to get Dabi 1 back into my rotation of characters I play, because I haven't given him as much love this year as I have other characters. But this is just a quick one on a Dabi 1 deck that I built for locals. If you've got any thoughts, or if there's anything you would personally change, I know a couple of people suggested Vast Hybrid Kraken and some of the new Amajiki throws, but I'm not a big fan of just the throw. Dabi seems so cheap to me, but it could probably get there. Thanks for watching. If you've got any tips or any comments on the video, please feel free to let us know, and if you like these videos, let us know so we can keep making them. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.